Hi, good morning, everybody. This is Lena. I'm coming from China. I'm CEO of WWD. Very nice to meet you here. And thank you for joining us in the early morning in United States. And so I got here Chloé and Stéphane to say hi to everybody first.
Hi there. Good morning. Good evening.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, so just start this morning, this early morning in States, and we are now here, actually the evening time here in China. So probably we'll start to share a little bit what we are going on in the past 3 months and where are we based now and where is our situation now. So probably we'll start with Chloé, can share a little bit with us your situation now here. I know that you are in Hong Kong. You have been stuck in Hong Kong since several weeks.
Thank you, Lena. That's right. So I am Chloé. I'm normally based in Shanghai. I'm the founder of Reuter Communications, which is an integrated marketing and digital agency focusing on luxury and premium brands, including a number of wonderful fashion clients. So I have been outside of Shanghai for the last 3 months. I actually left in January just on a holiday for Chinese New Year, like a lot of people. And unfortunately, I haven't managed to get back yet. So at the moment, I'm with the family in Hong Kong. And a couple of weeks ago, China closed the border to non-Chinese passport holders. So we hope to go back to Shanghai soon.
Great. So you are working from home and doing the, distance connecting with your people in China and working from distance?
I think like so many of us, this is our new normal. So remote working. The good news is that in Shanghai, where we have over 100 colleagues, everyone is back in the office, and it's very much back to business. So I can definitely offer some hope and some positivity and optimism to all of you who might be, experiencing lockdowns and serious challenges. It does get better. And in Hong Kong, our office is actually working remotely because Hong Kong has got some strict social distancing in place.
Yeah, thank you. And Stéphane?
So good morning again. My name is Stéphane. I'm the Chief Consumer Officer of L'Oréal China. I'm based in Shanghai. I've been in Shanghai for the last almost 3 months. I also left for Chinese New Year and then came back immediately early February, feeling very safe to be in China and in Shanghai in particular. If you don't know, Shanghai is a city of 28 million peoples, and so far, unfortunately, there have been 7 deaths related to COVID-19 in Shanghai. 7. So it's 7 too many, but it gives you the scale of the sanitary measures that were taken by the national and local governments to make sure people are safe through this epidemic, and feeling very grateful to be with the teams together from day one, back to the office early February to fight through this epidemic and to win.
Great. Thank you, Stéphane. So we are gathering here actually to share some insight from China. We live in the past 3 months, almost going through different periods that you are experiencing now. The lockdown started by the end of January, and now we actually exactly 3 months actually passed by. And we started with confusion, disoriented, and depressed, and then goes to the next step. On March, you are getting back. We try to find some pleasure in life, support people, and support people around us, support people online, and a lot of activities going on. And then now we are actually in the stage that we are trying to do our recovering work. It is not always easy. So I hope that today's our sharing will be fun for you and you might have some insight in it. So probably I will start with my part of sharing. And today I want to share with you some insight that we see what is happening here in China. And what is actually, I would say, the major spirit changes, which is driving today's transformations inside the industry and also inside the consumer's mind. So let me just share some slides with you. Just give me 1 second. I need to find the share. Oh. Is it okay? Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I think tomorrow will be the birthday of Issey Miyake. And how interesting that in his latest collection, he's showing on stage by February, the Autumn Winter collections, is people hand in hand. And that's what we are seeing. Public COVID-19 is a threat, is a crisis, but it is also a chance to connect people together. And that's exactly what we're experiencing here in China for the past 3 months. So fashion speaks, and that's how I want to show you, start with the photos with you. That's how, to see how COVID-19 instead, of course, they separate us in physics, that we are working from distance, and we can now organize the big meetings and doing the social networkings in person, but it does connect people in a different way. I got 3 keywords that we are learning from here in China I want to share with you. The first one is kindness. Kindness become the most important word for Chinese consumers today. I just read a research yesterday from CBN data, and was showing that the kindness during these moments in China become very important. But when we talk about kindness, it's not what we know as before when a big company doing their CSR or doing their charity acts. The kindness is really coming from the bottom of their heart, and with a very sincere and persistent works behind. The first highlight I want to mention to you is the empathy in leadership. And this is one thing extremely important during those past 3 months. I see and talk with some CEO here. They are actually working very closely with their colleagues. From the day one, when the city locked down, the first step they did is to ensure their employees are in safe place and support their employees with what they need. And so they secure first their employees and as a family. In the leadership, he take care first of their employees, and then they work on how they can help the society. And the help and the kindness to the society support the solidarity among all the people that work inside the company together. And also kind of people with their own families, their friends, so that it could create a very positive environment that we can find. Especially during the moment that people are feeling kind of depressed or confused or even disoriented, that's very important for them. So empathy in leadership, and they're varying up with a kindness to the society. We see, I think it's happening in US and in France, in Italy. We see all the big companies, they are doing a lot of efforts to support the society. And even the small people, they are doing so as well. We see the small restaurant, they are doing support to people, vulnerable peoples in their families, etc. So the kindness to the society is another thing that's very important that we're seeing changes. And caring for the consumers, that's one of the actions I saw also during this period. And something very interesting and actually bring a lot of support to consumers is how brands invent their way of communication. I see brands like beauty brands, they actually, instead of sending products notice to their clients, they are sending some tips, how to do your home mask, or how to make yourself feel better, how to use the essence oil to feel better, how to calm down. So they actually support, during this moment, they support the consumers with something really caring. So we come back, instead of talking about products and sales, we come back to the very essential feelings and what we need in the sentimental parts of a human being. And that's something amazing. And what I saw also the stylists, they are actually calling for restyling your wardrobe, bringing the pleasure of really to feel connected and to feel part of the society together. So that the word kindness is what we find and very important, and also, I mean, essential to the society today. And that's the keyword support us. And the second word I want to share with you is solidarity. This is amazing words that I found during this crisis. I actually came back to Shanghai. I have my Chinese New Year outside Shanghai, but I came back almost from the day one, the 2nd of February. So it's really right in the middle, the beginning of the COVID-19 here in China. And I right away joined a group of fashion industry people inside, around 500 people inside it. And so there's, of course, some big companies here in China, but a lot of smaller companies and also independent designers in the group. And what they are doing in the group is something I never see in the industry. We have a lot of talks and we have a lot of summits, but in this group, we discuss really very essential problems that the industry is facing. And they are supporting each other with their own ideas. They discuss from the very essential one is financial sustainability, because for small business, for the cash flow is very important. So they are sharing how they manage the cash flow. They are sharing how to manage their collections, because the coronavirus is here since February. So for most of the fashion brands, the sales for the spring, summer, there's not really hope on it. So how to arrange the collections, how they can handle it, and how they see that how to deal with the distributors, and how to build up their collections or reorganize. There's a sincere sharing inside this group. And I never see this before. And so this crisis actually putting all these industrial people, they used to be a competitor to each other, sitting down together, learning together, talk together, and support each other together. And another thing is very interesting during these discussions, because they have 2 weeks discussions every day with different topic in this chat room. Another one very interesting one is open resources. Maybe you see already on the news that China during the period that there's when some restaurants, chain restaurants, they have overloaded manpower because the restaurants are closed, and they actually claim that they don't know how to do with all those employees, almost 20,000 people unemployment. That's huge for a big company. And then the other side, we have the delivering grocery, online grocery delivering. They need manpower to help them to deal with the situation. So the open resources on the sharing manpower, it become a topic here in China. And it's go over the sharing on the service of online service, delivering service, and the restaurants. And it also goes to the others on the industry of fashion. And that's really showing something that's never done before, that human resource can be shared and resources can be shared as well. And that's something important. And that's also into discussions when all these industrial people, designers, small designers or brands, they are together. And that also helps to break the walls. We used to actually take care of our own small business. We do our own sales, our own distribution channel. But what has been changed is that we see the brands, they cooperate together and they support each other through the client database sharing. And also there's a new business model is building up here as decentralization of distribution channel. Normally here, just as I think in US, that we depend quite a lot on distribution channels, on distributors, retailers. And some of them, they have their own stores with their own salespersons. And during the lockdown, there's no business. So people are at home. But what they are doing is that they reorganize the team in a way that there's a real profit sharing inside it. They encourage their salesperson to build up her own small size of business with her client basis. and the brands, designers, and the companies support them with the merchandising, with the idea of styling, and they encourage those salespersons to show and to share with their client base and on social media or through live streaming or through their chat group, that how to mix and match and seeing the new collections, mix with old collections, bring new ideas and new service to the clients. So the breakdown of the walls is making actually kind of narrow down the different channels that the brand directly talking to their salesperson, their salesperson direct talking to their clients, and there's no barrier inside it. So the profit sharing, a new model, is now working in China. And so the brands and the companies are thinking how they actually help all these salespersons in this time of lockdown to have revenues instead of fire people. They actually help them to find a new place to build up their own business. And that's a real a revolution here. And that's why we are seeing it is evolving in China. And the third word I want to share with you is all about innovation. The innovation here, one of the most important is really regarding reinvented production. I'm mentioning previously about reorganizing the collections to see how to better manage the stock and better manage the collection, to see what is lifetime pieces can be kept and how to reorganize the collections is one thing. The other thing is that it's very important, and one very important topic here in China with a strong supply chain here, local supply chain here, is production on demand. And so we have the full supply chain, they are working on it. And here that some of the brands they can produce a bag on demand in 7 days and delivery in 7 days. So there's a real revolutions inside the industry to really move on in the production, which is much more efficient and which also to help to cut down the stock and cut down the waste and cut down the pollutions. So the coronavirus is actually pushing and accelerate the changes, and more efforts and put into it. And this is one of the key discussions even on the online sales platform. And the other one is reinventing the marketing. I mentioned that people-to-people marketing is becoming very important, and cut down of the marketing costs on the outdoor campaign or the very expensive photo shootings or big campaigns, allow actually companies and brands to take care more in details and more into the consumer's insight through different touches. And so be creative in the marketing is one thing here is happening also in China. The large usage of the live streaming online, social media platform, and the community platform have helped actually marketing to be very more innovative. And also that actually helps the old industry to move on in a different way. Shanghai Fashion Week has been canceled this year, but they moved everything online. And so for the past weeks, 3 weeks ago, they have everything online. Around 115 designers and brands had participated on it. And more than 4 million people joined online, and more than 11 million viewers online. And that's actually a revolution. So there's not a big cost to organize a fashion show, but there's a really in-depth reach directed to the consumers. And they conclude actually with a 500 million RMB turnovers during the whole weeks. That's really a great deal, and especially during this moment. So that's a new revolution that bring collections. There should be autumn-winter collections, but online through a Tmall e-commerce platform. When people join it and they are ready to buy, for some buyers to buy and for some individual consumers to order, to wait for autumn-winter to come. So that's a real revolution here going on here. I'm showing you 3 photos here, very beautiful photos. There's another revolution is going on here in China. as 3 designers. They work with a movie team, entertainment team, to create the virtual fashion show. So you got CG technology on it, and this unites the different professionals to come together. So that's help also that the entertainment industry is low down here as well. So they actually help different professionals getting together to be more creative and bring in new experience to users. So that's actually my last point on it, as embracing the changes. That's a very important and keywords that we are facing today. The changes here, COVID-19, that's before COVID-19, after COVID-19, and embrace the change is the most important. And my last pages that I want to share with you, that one keyword is coming out very important, is about sustainability. We talk about sustainable fashion, we talk about sustainable beauty. And since 10 years ago in Copenhagen summits, there's discussion already on it and pushing the industry to move on. But 10 years later, the full industry, fashion and beauty together, we are still the most polluted industry. And there's something we need to be done and accelerated. Instead of making commitment, we need to put into actions. So we are organizing on WWD from the 22nd, the 50th anniversary of International Earth Day, 3 days summits, and we have several speakers here with Andrew Rosso and Morten from Copenhagen and Lena. So hope you can join us for the sharing. We're going to have 2 sessions in English and 1 session in Chinese. Okay, so that's my sharing, and just give me 1 second to come out from it. So that's my sharing with you, sharing with our findings here. The keywords actually drive us to make the world differently. And we believe that keywords will move us to a better world, we hope. And so now I'm getting to the word to Chloé, and she's going to bring us some insights, much more in details and in practical part about industrial transformation here in China and from the world.
Thank
Chloé.
you, Lena. I think you share some wonderful things, and I think that the kindness one really resonates with me, because I think that the only way we're all going to get through this is with kindness. And I think that over the last 3 months, I've been incredibly encouraged by how people have come together and helped each other, whether it's in my industry, in communications and marketing, and in the world of luxury, but in so many other areas. And I think that hopefully that's one good thing that has come out of this really terrible and challenging time for absolutely everyone. But without further ado, I would love to share with you a few key trends that we've basically been observing over the last, especially the last month. I think that, as you pointed out, February and into March were times when China was very much in a lockdown phase, and people were going out not very often, and so a lot of people were at home. And I think that from that, we've seen a few new realities in terms of how consumers and brands have been adapting to that. And so I've just got a very short presentation here. So some of the key trends, 4 key themes that I'd love to share with you today. And I'm happy to share this deck with everyone after. So don't worry about trying to take notes. Number 1 is an accelerated digital migration. Number 2 is looking at, how people have been living these self-sufficient lives. Number 3 is this next level health consciousness and how that's been fast forwarded throughout this pandemic. And number 4 has been how creative the retail industry has been, especially facing challenges like, all offline locations were closed for many weeks. So I've just got a couple of examples to illustrate each one of these key themes. So in terms of an acceleration towards digital migration, I think that it's fair to say that China was already one of the most connected places in the world. I think that I'm a huge I'm a huge believer in the power of the Chinese digital ecosystem, and I'm often quite grateful that there is a firewall, because it's given rise in China to a whole unique system of apps and a new way of living digitally. And now more than ever, we've seen the rise of these local Chinese applications. And it's amazing how inspired they have been and how quick they were to develop technology in order to support everyone, for example, who is working from home. So you mentioned, Lena, one of the key items that came out was live streaming, but really live streaming everywhere. You know, schools, my children are doing live streaming from 8:30 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, you know, but also offices and karaoke parlors and everything else you can think of has gone on to live streaming. Same with brands. You know, for example, beauty, and I know Stéphane will talk about beauty in detail, but beauty has been incredibly resilient, and live streaming has been one of the key ways that beauty brands have been able to keep connected with their consumers during the lockdown. Second theme is how people can lead these more self-sufficient lives, and by that I mean the pursuit of hobbies and interests and things that in a very busy normal world we don't always have time to do. So we've seen a lot of brands really tap into that and offer tutorials on whether it's cooking or flower arrangement or how to look good, and I think that's something that we will see continuing. In terms of our third theme, this whole health consciousness, which was already becoming very big in China, has only just been accentuated with people stuck indoors. You've had downloads of these physical fitness apps going through the roof. You've had trending hashtags on the likes of Little Red Book and other platforms, garnering millions and millions of views. So I think that people have really started thinking more about how to take care of themselves. And I think that leads to your point, Lena, about this heightened interest in sustainability, provenance of brands. What are we putting into ourselves? How are we looking after ourselves and the future? So I think that's actually a really positive thing that has come out of this. And I think your summit with WWD China will shed a lot of great light on those sustainability practices. Here are a few more examples about how brands are helping. For example, hotel brands like Hilton and Intercontinental note that all of those properties have been closed. So they've been trying to engage with their customers online by providing workouts and other ways to keep them interested and motivated. And finally, in terms of theme number 4, I think that the Chinese retailers present a real inspiration for retailers around the world. I mean, the nightmare that every retailer faces in terms of not being able to open up your shop is vast. And a few of the examples we're seeing is how retailers have been able to marry digital in order to offer an experience maybe online, although they're doing it from an offline context. One of the things to bear in mind when retailers can eventually reopen is the fact that a lot of people are really concerned about their own health and safety when they travel to shops, and they might be apprehensive. So in Asia now, for example, in Hong Kong or in Shanghai, you know, everywhere you're going, in Hong Kong, you're getting your temperature checked. If you're going into a store, you've got a mask on, you've got hand sanitizers everywhere. There's signs everywhere indicating how often things are being properly cleaned. And I think that's going to be the new normal for quite a while. So brands need to really take steps to reassure customers that it is safe to come in and shop and experience their brand. So I think there are a few other examples of how retail's gone creative, empowering local retail staff to become your brand advocates. We've had a lot of brands who are allowing their retail staff to live stream from stores to showcase new products. Saint Laurent, for example, gave sales associates access to a mini program on WeChat that they could use to share with their VICs. And you've got some beauty brands here, for example, Estée Lauder and Clé de Peau, where sales associates were doing tutorials using those products. So just really quickly, these key takeaways that we're seeing in China, this acceleration to digital migration, brands need to be paying more attention to that, looking at different types of platforms and understanding why to use certain platforms for what objectives. People, leading these more self-sufficient lives, having more time for personal interests, for hobbies. So how can brands tap into that, whether it's with new products or strategic counsel in terms of how they're helping people have, richer lives. Number 3 is this health consciousness. So this quickening of people's interest in being fit, in being healthy, and sustainability. So how are brands, what is the brand's promise to the sustainability cause, transparency, provenance, all of those key issues. And retail. So I think we've seen retailers being really creative in China, and I think it's an example that many retailers around the world can learn from and apply. So that's all the sharing I've got at the moment, and I would love to pass back to Lena.
Thank you, Chloé. That's really very interesting, and that's just back to Stéphane. It looks like we are in a hurry, a little rush now. So I'll give the hands to Stéphane. Stéphane, please. Hello,
certainly.
Stéphane.
Yes. Okay. Can you hear and see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So very happy for this opportunity to share some of the learnings that we in L'Oréal China have experienced in the last 3 months. I will start with the end, which is that there is a light at the end of the proverbial tunnel. It is a shining light, provided we take the tunnel with the right team, with the right mindset, with the right capacities, at the right speed, and with determination. So we are not back to normal. We're back to a new normal. There's actually nothing normal about the new normal. And the key word is new. It's very exciting and it's full of opportunities. So as Lena mentioned, the first thing we did, just to set the frame of how we can then understand what consumers need and how to react to that, was to ensure the safety of our employees. So before Chinese New Year, as we saw this crisis coming up, before the country closed down for Chinese New Year, we established a crisis task force to respond to the outbreak of the epidemic. And this was led by our CEO, and it was to order and source millions of masks, Norm N95 masks, hydrogel, gloves, and all the necessary measures to ensure the safety of our teams, of our staff, in the factories, in the warehouses, in the offices, in the field, for when we would be back early February to work. So that was our #1 priority. And without that, we cannot work in a fruitful and forward-looking way. So focus on people management, communicate effectively, work with the local authorities, so that we can have a fast and a strong bounce back for the business, adopt our new ways of working. So with this in mind, the question is, what's the new normal and what's the bounce back? Is it going to be like 2 weekends ago, when one of the most desired and highly touristy mountains of China reopened, with hordes of people enjoying being back in nature and being back to tourist places? Maybe, maybe not. What we do see is that in China, and it's on the left of the screen, as you know, there is a rise of optimism and confidence as the number of cases go down, and go down drastically. At the same time, there's growing uncertainties because of all the growing cases and worsening situation outside of China. So to echo back on what Chloé just said, if we put ourselves in the shoes of consumers and we look at life from consumers' eyes, top left picture, that's consumers taking the subway. If you want to take the subway, you have your temperature checked. And this is for the last 3 months, every day. If you arrive in a train station, at the airport, in a shopping mall, in a building office, there are safety measures to check your geo-tracking mobile phone QR code. I put mine here as an example. I'm green. I'm grateful to be green. And lots of measures. No masks, no entry into stores, no entry into restaurants, no entry into malls, no entry into offices. So that's the mindset, safety heightened mindset of our consumers. Now, when we look at consumers in beauty, what we do see starting end of February, beginning of March, is that the level of beauty discussions, the discussions that consumers are having, the social exchanges on beauty is back to where it was a year ago. So no, we went through the crisis, upswing, and now consumers are engaged again in discussing about beauty. It shows their level of excitement and interest. Of course, traffic offline is down, but week after week, we measure it every day by store, by mall throughout China, and we see that it's inching up from a very, very low, so especially on weekends or special holidays. Now, what is the new normal from observation of consumers' life? It's wearing masks every day, and consumers, 96% of consumers tell us they wear masks every day, all the time. 96, we're not sure who are the 4% who don't wear masks, because actually it's 100% new behavior. They don't go out to crowded places. They wash their hands. That's 90% new daily behaviors. They don't eat out as before, etc., etc. Now, from these observations in beauty, we see 4 new behaviors. I'll walk you very quickly through them. And if you want to learn 4 characters in Chinese, here we go. Zhai, being at home, killing time at home, knowing that home today in China does not mean home before the epidemic. Home is a school today. Home is work. Home is retail. Home is entertainment. Home is restaurant. So the definition of home and killing time at home is totally different. So with this, we see that consumers are watching a lot of video programming, cleaning, cooking, a lot of new behaviors, and everything is online. So as Chloé said, for an already very digital consumer base, everything, health, entertainment, government, administration, medicine, everything that was not already digitalized is digitalized. And social platforms, video websites, online shopping, short videos, all that correspond to the new all online the clouds. And so the implications are so many new online sales channels and methods, and so many new opportunities to collaborate with platforms. The third behavior is back to a rational thinking, spending money in a planned way, more rational in shopping, more confidence also in domestic brands. And that's very, very important, and it has implications on how we work with hero products who become even more of a hero products, and how we can create excitement at the same time to trigger impulse. And fourth, linked to health, to what Lena and Chloé said before, health in terms of nature and pollution and organic ingredients, but also taking care of oneself, pampering, cheerfulness, sustainability, health. So in beauty, it should really be now very fundamental for how beauty brands correspond. So these behaviors, they drive certain facts: skincare, hair care. Their daily routine of consumers is back to where it was before the crisis. Makeup, of course, is still impacted, but there are new gestures, new opportunities. We know that our consumers are not traveling, and they will not be traveling for a long, long time outside of mainland China. They say they will not spend on fashion and luxury. They say, no surprise, that they will spend on insurance, for instance, and health. Therefore, when we look at what our brands have done starting February 10th, when we reopened our factory, when we reopened with our teams and went back to work, we did a bet. We bet on a bad February, but a strong March. And our CEO last week announced, so I can share this, that L'Oréal China Q1, first quarter, was positive in a beauty market that was negative. So many of our competitors are negative, and we're hit with a big tsunami. And luckily for us, because we were back together from day one, understanding the insights and the new behaviors of consumers, we can do what is most important in China, is take the wave. Don't wait, grab the wave and work on new claims, matte, lipsticks, when you wear a mask every day, or for foundations or for primers, new touch points, new apps, health touch apps, for our brands, new channels. WeChat was mentioned by Lena, new communication that we would never do before, caring communication on very technical products, and also new weapons for our sales team that became live streamers, that became individual advocates with their communities online. So I'll conclude here by saying that the whole country, after years and years and years of maddening, fast changes, pressed pause for a few days. They caught their breath. They re-examined their values, their priorities, and then pressed play again. And we're back to a very, very, very fast pace with a totally new environment in beauty. I'll finish on an illustration of what new normal means visually for our consumers. Consumers wearing their masks on their smartphones, but with this lady on the left who wants to be happy every day. Because when you hear only negative news, you want to be reassured and helped by the brands. And on the right, consumers wearing masks, meeting people, socializing again, but who want to seize the day. And for the lucky ones driving around Shanghai in their Lamborghini or orange Lamborghini, they are wearing masks, but they need sun care and makeup and hair care. And so it's very exciting. And in summary, this is a testimony to very strong teams united to decipher the insights and work on them and execute them very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Stéphane. So thank you, Stéphane, and thank you, Chloé. And definitely that we understand that in US and other parts of Europe, you are actually living through a very hard moment. But hearing from Chloé and also from Stéphane, you can see there's always something new happenings. Of course, it's new normal, but we cope with normal and reinvent our lifestyle. So does the consumers, and so does the business.